Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking to you about unsaturated hydrocarbons, alkenes, how to name alkenes and the rules of naming alkenes, and the properties and uses of alkenes. Just so you know, we're going to have like a PowerPoint after so you guys can take notes. This is just to explain it. Everything I say will be on the PowerPoint after, but listen closely. First of all, unsaturated hydrocarbons. A hydrocarbon is an organic chemical compound composed of carbon and hydrogen. Pretty simple. Hydrogen, carbon, carbon. Hydrocarbons that do not contain the maximum amount of hydrogen are referred to as unsaturated. Unsaturated hydrocarbons are hydrocarbons in which not all the carbon atoms have 4 single covalent bonds. Saturated hydrocarbons would have 4 single covalent bonds, but unsaturated hydrocarbons, not all the carbon atoms within it have 4 single covalent bonds. Saturated hydrocarbons contain carbon atoms joined by single chemical bonds. Just so you know the difference, the opposite. These compounds contain the maximum number of hydrogen atoms. Unsaturated hydrocarbons contain 1 or more pairs of carbon atoms joined by double or triple chemical bonds. Alkenes. Alkenes are hydrocarbons that contain double covalent bonds. Just to review, a covalent bond is one in which the bonds in compounds result from the sharing of 1 or more pairs of electrons. So when they share pairs of electrons. Carbon atoms linked by double bonds cannot bind as many atoms as those that are linked by only single bonds. So when there are double bonds, they cannot hold together as many atoms as when they are linked by only single bonds. Single bonds can hold together more atoms than double bonds. That is when carbon atoms are linked together. Now, when naming alkenes, the name of the compound ends with ene, alkene, ene. A chain is when carbons are bonded together. So when I say chain, that's literally the chain that bonds together the carbons. All the rules for naming the compounds hold true, except that the double bond takes precedence over all other branches when you number the carbons in the chain. So the double bond in the compound is always over all the other branches if you number the carbons. When you say how many carbons are in that chain, it takes precedence over all the other branches. The rules to naming alkenes are simple. Find the longest continuous chain that contains the double bond, and then number the main chain from the end that is closest to the double bond. Properties and uses of alkenes. Ethene is the smallest alkene, which is a gas. And ethene is the one that is mostly used commonly. Ethene is the hydrocarbon commercially produced in the greatest quantity in the United States. It is used in the synthesis of plastics and alcohols. Ethene is also important to plants and plant hormones. In the PowerPoint, you'll see a sort of chart containing the systematic naming for the first 20 straight chain alkenes. And you'll also see a picture of an example of how to name an alkene. Thank you very much. I hope you learned something.